Today's curse concept is, what if Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi was the leader of the Taliban? I know, guys, bear with us. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, one Jedi didn't fall to Darth Sidious. He fell into the mountains of Afghanistan. This is the story of the Conehead who brought lightsabers to a gunfight. Ki-Adi-Mundi, if you don't remember him, he's that big-brained Jedi Council member who was real worried about the droid attack on the Wookiees, and then got absolutely shredded by like 5 clone troopers 5 minutes later. He's a Saurian, which basically means that he's got a head like a traffic cone and a mating crisis. Canonically, this guy was allowed to have multiple wives because his species had a population problem. The Jedi Council, famously not okay with attachment, looked at Mundi and went, you know what? Go nuts. Literally. This guy wasn't celibate. He was Jedi Genghis Khan. The Council gave him a license to breed. So, yeah. He's on the Council, swinging a lightsaber and simultaneously running the galaxy's weirdest harem. That's who we're dealing with. Now, let's imagine this walking exception clause gets yeeted out of hyperspace and lands in the early 2000s, right into the mountains of Afghanistan. New planet, new war, same massive head. Somehow, through a Force mishap, Sith time loop, or maybe a hyperspace whoopsie-daisy involving too much midichlorian pressure and not enough plot armor, Ki-Adi-Mundi finds himself ejected from his galaxy and plummeting straight into the unforgiving terrain of Earth. He crashes into the Hindu Kush like an intergalactic bowling ball. No ship, no droid, no translator, just a big brain and an even bigger case of Jedi culture shock. Picture this. It's early 2002. Somewhere between Tora Bora and total confusion, a group of battle-hardened mountain fighters spots a man in flowing robes stumbling around the rocks holding a glowing sword and muttering about the will of the Force. They think he's a Jinn, a spirit, a wandering holy man, or maybe a CIA superweapon who forgot his mission briefing. Mundi, still trying to operate like he's on Coruscant, opens with Jedi diplomacy. He sits cross-legged, offering peace and wisdom. He tries to establish a neutral ground, talking about harmony, the living Force, all that shiny Jedi morality stuff. And for his trouble, they laugh at him, point AKs at his face, and call him a cone-headed lunatic. But then, the turning point. Someone asks about his odd robes, his strange aura, and most importantly, the backstory about his harem slips out. Maybe he drops a casual, "Oh, my 5th wife always warned me about hostile terrain," or something to the sort. Maybe someone reads too deeply into the Saurian biology monologue, but word gets around, this guy's got wives, plural. And not just because he wants them, because his species needs them. And then suddenly, things click. These dudes value tradition, patriarchy, preservation. Ki-Adi-Mundi isn't just relatable, he's aspirational. He's a walking endorsement of their entire worldview, but with bonus laser swords and prophetic visions. So, Mundi does what any good survivor Jedi turned accidental cult leader would do. He leans in. Hard. He ditches the Jedi Code's finer print and starts rebranding. No more peace through understanding. Now it's balance through tradition. He introduces himself not as a Jedi Master, but as a celestial emissary. A warrior sent to restore cosmic order in a world consumed by Western chaos and spiritual emptiness. He talks about the Force in ways they can understand, an energy field that surrounds all living things, guiding warriors, empowering the righteous, punishing the wicked. He rewrites the Jedi dogma to include local customs. Force meditation, it's basically the same as daily prayer. Lightsaber training, martial discipline. Monogamy? Yeah, no, not in the new Force Order. And it works. These guys may not know what a Jedi is, but they do know what to do with a charismatic, otherworldly preacher who can block bullets with a beam of light and is casually building a mountainside theological movement. By leaning into their shared obsession with legacy, hierarchy, and divine mission, Mundi doesn't just gain acceptance, he earns reverence. His cone head becomes a literal symbol of enlightenment. Kids carve it into stone. Grown men quote his sayings like scripture. Villagers come to hear his sermons, which, let's be honest, they're going to be 70% Jedi nonsense and 30% breeding advice. He's not a Jedi anymore. He's something else. A warlord prophet. A polygamist monk with force powers and fertility stats that read like a cheat code. He's a new kind of leader. A space-age messiah in the mountains of Earth. So now, Ki-Adi-Mundi's gone full messiah mode in the mountains. His robes are dusty, his lightsabers jury-rigged to a car battery, and his force visions are blending with altitude sickness. But it doesn't really matter because the legend is growing. The Brotherhood of the Force is born. What starts with a handful of curious fighters turns into a full-on movement. Mundi begins teaching his followers everything he remembers from the Jedi Temple. Or at least what he thinks he remembers. Meditation becomes mandatory. Daily lightsaber drills happen before breakfast. There's a weird emphasis on breathing and posture, and suddenly everyone's walking around calling him Master of the Cone. And here's where it gets wild. These guys buy in fully. Like, 100% no questions asked, drink the Star Wars Kool-Aid levels of devotion. They start shaving their heads into vaguely Saurian shapes. They build makeshift temples out of scrap metal and goat bones. They chant about balance in the Force while mining kyber crystal, quotation marks, out of riverbeds. Spoiler alert, it's just quartz and broken Nokia screens. Mundi teaches them to feel the Force, to trust their instincts, to let go of fear. Which is super ironic because the whole operation is mostly running on fear. Fear of outsiders, fear of extinction, fear of drone strikes. But hey, good vibes only. Some of his students start showing actual Force sensitivity. One guy moves a rock 6 inches. Another catches a falling cup with reflexes that make Mundi raise an eyebrow so high it nearly escapes orbit. Whether it's Force potential or pure delusion powered by religious fervor is unclear. But the line between Jedi training and magic cult initiation starts getting real blurry. And then there's lightsabers. Oh boy, so these things are not elegant weapons from a more civilized age, they're horrifying. Pipes with flickering neon bulbs, garden tools duct taped to batteries. One guy shows up with a glow stick tied to a machete and says, "Well, it hums when I believe hard enough." Mundi nods like it's the most profound thing he's ever heard. By now, his title isn't even Ki-Adi-Mundi. He's become Al-Sheikh al-Mundi, bringer of balance, father of the sacred plasma blade. His teachings are spreading. Villages send their sons to train under him. His followers scrawl his words into the sides of cliffs. Markets begin selling little Ki-Adi bobbleheads made out of clay. His cone head is a brand. And he's not just teaching Jedi Force stuff. He's holding lectures on the Jedi Code, reinterpreted a bit to fit tribal law. He creates a ranking system. Initiates, Padawans, breeders, defenders, and enlightened ones. If you complete 3 successful missions, survive 2 American airstrikes, and father at least 1 Force-sensitive child, you get promoted to Knight of the Cone. His compound is a strange mix of ancient mysticism and chaotic nerd energy. There's chanting, sparring, and people holding up crystals to the sun like they're going to unlock secret cheat codes. Mundi walks through it all like he's Moses on a mission, except instead of commandments, he's handing out force quotes and fertility tips. But not everyone is thrilled. Local leaders are very confused. Some are jealous, others are very worried. A few try to challenge him, but they immediately get yeeted across the courtyard by a force push. Word spreads fast. You don't mess with the cone. And so the movement grows, one mountain range at a time, one new wife at a time. Mundi builds not just an army, but a legacy. He has followers, lieutenants, philosophers, warriors, and most importantly, a growing base of children who may or may not be part of his long-term breeding strategy for galactic rebirth. The Jedi Council once told him to go forth and repopulate. They just didn't know that he'd take that assignment interplanetary. Meanwhile, half a world away in an air-conditioned office filled with half-empty coffee cups and very full paranoia, the CIA is staring at blurry satellite images of bearded men in robes waving what appears to be a lightsaber. At first, they think it's some kind of hoax, a prank, maybe some new terrorist propaganda campaign. But then the footage rolls. This man deflects bullets, lifts a goat into the air without touching it, and, most importantly, he keeps surviving drone strikes. Internally, they give him the codename Big Brain, because when you don't know how to classify a 7-foot alien monk cult leader with a fertility complex and a sword made of light, you go for something easy to remember. Reports start flowing in. Analysts are baffled. One of them tries to suggest that maybe this is an extremely advanced Russian psyop? That analyst is promptly fired. Back at the Pentagon, brass are trying to put together a response. They're not even sure if this counts as a religious threat, an extraterrestrial one, or both. The president is handed a report that literally says, Conehead Prophet gaining force-sensitive militia, potential non-human combatant. He reads it, pauses, then mutters, is this some new Marvel thing? And thus, Operation Order 67 is born. Delta Force is sent in, stealth choppers, night vision, the whole Call of Duty package. They move in on Mundi's mountain stronghold under cover of darkness, expecting a quick snatch and grab. What they actually walk into is Jedi Waco. Guards are meditating in shifts. Traps line the caves. One guy takes a shot at the Americans using a lightsaber welded to an AK. Another blocks a stun grenade by force pushing a goat into the blast radius. It's not just spiritual now, it's tactical. And in the center of it all is Mundi, standing barefoot, hands folded, surrounded by a wall of chanting followers with glow sticks and scrap metal armor. The soldiers hesitate. This wasn't in the manual. One guy radios command like, sir, the cult leader's floating. Then Mundi makes his move. He shouts something about balance and destiny. The air shifts, the ground trembles, and then, boom, forcequake. Half the squad gets blown back like they were hit by a metaphysical concussion grenade. Mundi doesn't run. He walks back into the cave, robes flowing, followed by an army of space-age zealots yelling stuff about midichlorians and freedom. The mission fails spectacularly. And just like that, Mundi is no longer just a mountain prophet, he's a national security threat. A big one. Back home, news leaks. Footage hits the internet. People call it fake, deepfakes, viral marketing. A few Reddit threads go viral under the title, Alien Jedi Warlord Confirmed? Meanwhile, in the field, things escalate. Predator drones scan the region. Mundi starts giving speeches about the Force being the true resistance against technological tyranny. He trains his followers to trust their instincts, to meditate before battle, to channel emotion into control. It's a weird mix of Jedi teachings and guerrilla warfare strategy. And it works. Villagers start joining his ranks. Women bring him offerings, flowers, food, marriage proposals. He accepts all of it with serene Jedi detachment. Except the marriage part. He leans in hard on the marriage part. The CIA now tracks 36 compounds under his influence. Drones go missing in areas he's supposedly blessed. Recruits claim to feel the Force after days of fasting and watching bootleg Star Wars DVDs as their sacred texts. At one point, a US general reportedly says, "We're fighting a wizard with a fan club, a fertility club, and an anti-air defense system powered by rocks and religion." And Mundi, he thrives. He believes this is his destiny, that the Force brought him here to build a new Jedi Order, one immune to the failures of the Republic, one rooted in passion, power, and a total lack of oversight. He starts sending messengers to nearby regions, begins absorbing other radical groups, converts some, force chokes the rest. His numbers swell, his territory grows, his teachings spread through cassette tapes, coded radio signals, and a weird knockoff app called ConeNet that delivers daily Force wisdom via SMS. At this point, half the intelligence community is convinced Mundi is either a god, a hoax, or a force of nature. And the other half? They're starting to believe he might just win. At this point, Ki-Adi-Mundi isn't just a religious leader or a regional warlord, he's the architect of an entirely new ideology. A force-fueled fusion of Jedi philosophy, tribal tradition, and intergalactic fertility rites. And now, it's going global. He names the movement the Order of the Resurrected Force, because nothing screams spiritual awakening like dramatic capitalization. This is no longer about survival, it's about transcendence, about destiny, about space wizard supremacy and the glorious rebirth of the galaxy, starting in the most unexpected place, the side of a mountain in Afghanistan. Mundi formalizes everything. There's a hierarchy, a structure. Initiates wear sand-colored robes with cone-shaped hoods. Those who complete their training become Knights of the Flame, wielding homemade lightsabers powered by car alternators and spiritual conviction. And above them, the Enlightened Circle, his inner council, handpicked from the strongest, wisest, and most faithful. Also from the most fertile. Because, yeah, breeding quotas are now official policy. He rewrites the Jedi Code line by line, transforming it into something much darker, much weirder, and way more focused on reproduction. There is no emotion, only passion, especially during mating season. There is no peace, only preparation. There is no ignorance, only devotion to the cone. Attachment is sacred. Attachment builds legacy. Attachments make more Jedi. And you know what? It works. His followers don't just believe, they convert. They adopt new names like Padawan Rashid and Brother Saber. They perform lightsaber ceremonies at weddings. They hold weekly Force meditation sessions led by 13-year-olds with glowing staffs made of plumbing parts. Entire villages are transformed into training temples. Children are sorted into Force potential tiers. The highest ranked are sent to Mundi's main stronghold, the Temple of the Sacred Peak, where they undergo rigorous physical and spiritual training, including force-fueled fasting, gravity-defying prayer circles, and yes, lightsaber duels fought in sandals. Recruitment spreads. Videos circulate of Mundi calmly disarming armed soldiers using the Force, then giving them a hug and a pamphlet titled Balance in You, a beginner's guide to galactic harmony. Ex-fighters, disillusioned radicals, and even a few former NATO translators join up. Some are drawn by faith, others by fear. Many are drawn by the promise of a big brain and bigger purpose. Meanwhile, the US and allied intelligence agencies are panicking. Reports come in from Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, places where whispers of the Conehead Prophet are growing louder. There are sightings, copycat groups, a pop song remixing one of Mundi's speeches hits #1 in an underground Cairo club scene. Universities start debating the theological implications of force-based insurgency. CIA think tanks coined the term midichlorian radicalization. One European minister flat out calls him the most dangerous religious movement since Scientology. And it doesn't stop there. Mundi begins exporting his doctrine. He sends emissaries to preach the path of the resurrected cone, a mix of traditional Jedi dogma and bizarre fertility commandments. The movement splinters into sects. The Flame Bearers, they're focused on combat and lightsaber mastery. The Brethren of Balance are devoted to strict meditation and polygamous family planning. And the Children of the Cone. These are an unsettling group made entirely of Mundi's own offspring who believe their destiny is to seed Force users across the galaxy, one unholy hookup at a time. Ki-Adi's personal harem has now grown to over 60 wives. His children number in the hundreds. At this point, it's not a cult, it's a gene pool with propaganda. Geneticists are worried. Jedi are confused. The Catholic Church issues an official statement stating, "We don't know what this is, but please stop it." Even the Force ghosts are losing it. Obi-Wan refuses to intervene. Qui-Gon is just meditating angrily, and Yoda, staring at this madness from beyond, delivers one prophecy. One warning that echoes through the cosmos like a galactic thunderclap. Begun, the clone jihad has. And it's true, because now Mundi's children, Force-sensitive, combat-trained, raised on dogma and destiny, are spreading, taking his teachings across borders, creating cells, forming a network, a future generation bred for chaos, peacekeeping, or whatever cosmic fever dream their dad hallucinated during a sandstorm. At this point, Mundi believes he has fulfilled his true purpose. Not to fight Sith, not to sit on a council, but to reshape the galaxy from the bottom up. Earth is his new Coruscant. His movement, a living temple. His children, an army of prophecy. One he made, one he raised, one he definitely didn't ask permission from the Jedi Council for. Enjoyed this wild twist on reality? What happens next? Should this story continue? Or do you have another crazy what-if scenario in mind? Comment below with your ideas, smash that like button if you want more, and subscribe and turn on notifications while you're at it so you never miss a new reality shift. This has been Canon Chaos, where anything can happen. We'll see you in the next timeline.